Hi, I'm Joel Persinger. I'm the Gun Guy. Thank you very much for all of your support of GunGuyTV, and happy Monday to you. This is your Monday recap of what happened in the fight last week for your firearms rights around the country. Let's take a quick look. A federal class action lawsuit was filed against the National Shooting Sports Foundation. It accuses the NSSF of misusing customer data collected from gun owners. Okay, I don't know if they did that. I doubt it, but I have a sneaking suspicion that this has absolutely nothing to do with privacy and everything to do with intimidating and attacking and silencing the very group that represents America's firearms industry. And how do I know that? Because it's not the only attack. Meanwhile, in Chicago, the city's lawsuit against Glock continues to move forward. Chicago politicians blame Glock because criminals, mind you, criminals, yes, that's right, criminals illegally convert pistols into machine guns. Glock's not doing it. Criminals are doing it, but the politicians are blaming Glock. Instead of holding criminals accountable, they're trying to bankrupt manufacturers and strangle your right to own firearms. This is part of a nationwide strategy to destroy the gun industry through the courts, and it's not their first attempt. They've tried this many, many times. In Colorado, gun rights groups have filed federal challenges against the state's new permit and training requirement for semi-automatic rifles. And at the same time, the Trump administration is asking a federal court to dismiss one of multiple pending cases concerning marijuana and gun rights, in large part because, I suspect, that the administration expects the U.S. Supreme Court to make a precedent-setting ruling on the very same issue. And since I mentioned the Supreme Court, filings and extensions continue in several key cases. Those moves will determine if the court hears new Second Amendment challenges this term, which, after having chatted at length with Chuck Michel from CRPA, I suspect the court will indeed hear those challenges, at least one anyway. That's the hope. Keep your fingers crossed. All right, now let's talk about California, ground zero for anti-gun legislation. After all, I am currently in California. And while San Diego County is a beautiful place to live, politically, California sucks, and it certainly sucks where firearms rights are concerned. There were several major developments this past week, however. On September 22nd, the California Rifle and Pistol Association and the Second Amendment Foundation filed a new federal lawsuit. It's called Robert M. Blank versus Santa Clara County Sheriff's Department. They're challenging outrageous concealed carry permit fees. I hope you're sitting down. Up to $2,000 for an initial permit and $500 for a renewal. That's absurd. On top of that, they're requiring mandatory psychological exams. Obviously, these are unconstitutional barriers to the right to keep and bear arms. Also, on September 26, CRPA, that's the California Rifle and Pistol Association, and the Second Amendment Law Center filed an amicus brief in Knife Rights versus Bonta. They argue that California's switchblade ban violates the Second Amendment, which it does. Knives are common self-defense tools. If the state can ban knives, it sets a dangerous precedent for banning any tool they don't like. Well, there you go. Those are just the highlights from last week, but there is a lot going on in the fight, both in the courts and legislatures across the country, and especially in California. So support your local firearms group, knife group, advocacy group. If you're in California, the California Rifle and Pistol Association and Gun Owners of California. And even if you're not in California, California either affects or infects the rest of the country. So support those groups. For sure, support Gun Owners of America. Donate, stay engaged. And I'll see you next Monday with a recap of whatever happens this week. In the meantime, thank you very much for all of your support, and wherever you go, whatever you do, stay safe.